Good morning. So, ladies and gentlemen, partners and practitioners of possibility, I greet you this morning. It's very exciting to be here and to be amongst solid ambassadors of social transformation. So, people who believe in delivering impact and change in the communities in East, Central, West, all across Africa. And I really must appreciate all of you for the hours and resources and commitments that you have put into driving this agenda. And today we're gathered here not simply to share knowledge, but to confront a paradox. In the richest country in potential, why does exclusion still thrive? Why, amid abundant ingenuity, does sustainable prosperity still remain so unevenly distributed? And this year's AKOSE theme, so social economy, building a sustainable and inclusive future for Africa, is not just an invitation. I honestly feel it's a provocation. It's a call to reimagine as well as to construct an economy where profit is not predatory and where markets serve communities, not the other way around. And it is on this premise that a contested as well as a dynamic intersection of equity and enterprise that the KCB group and as well as the KCB Foundation, we are taking a stand. And allow me to just say a few things about the group on whose behalf I'm standing here. So we don't consider ourselves merely a banking institution, because beyond the balance sheet, I feel our real value lies in what we're able to enable. So lives transformed, ideas funded, as well as futures that are unlocked. So the last about 128 years that the KCB group has existed, we've been a catalyst for development, enabling growth, as well as economic progress, supporting regional trade and connecting millions of people across the continent and across the world, indeed, to opportunities on the continent, while making sure we have a positive social impact on the communities that we live in. And this is because of our firm belief that we can only prosper. You can't prosper if the communities you live and serve are not prospering. We have to have a shared prosperity. And therefore, we make deliberate investments directed at solving existing social problems with the intended result of strengthening the competitive advantage of the group, as well as leaving a long-lasting positive impact on the communities that have given us the social license to operate. So through the KCB Foundation, we've evolved from funding to building communities. And our goal is to enable progress, as well as build communities to bank on themselves by identifying and addressing social problems that intersect with business across the region. So at KCB, one of the things that we're doing is what we call our Njonjo program, which is one of the largest creators of livelihoods in East and Central Africa. And through this flagship program, we've been supporting vocational technical skilling, as well as sustainable agriculture, both geared at nurturing and growing successful enterprises and developing programs within the region. And with hundreds and thousands of youth trained, financed, and integrated into value chains across the region, we feel our programs are not just symbolic efforts. We're trying to see how do we create, a lot of people talk about ecosystems, right? So how do we create system shifting interventions, quiet revolutions? You don't need to shout about some of these things, right? How do you create a quiet revolution that ripples positively through families, markets, and regions? And this is because, and this is something I honestly believe in, job creation is just about numbers. It's about dignity. It's giving people the right to wake up every morning with purpose, as well as to sleep each night with security. So the social economy, our subject for today, is not just a side project. It's a deliberate act of reprogramming, as well as replacing the extractive logic of endless accumulation with an architecture of mutuality and shared progress. Our speaker, doctor from Ethiopia, he spoke about how this has been interwoven into the social fabric of Africa ever since we began. So we are building not just enterprises, but ecosystems not just workers, but owners, and not just inclusion, but belonging. And to achieve this, we must address what I call the triple gap. The first is a gap of access. There are too many African innovators who remain underfunded, underfinanced, and underserved, and sometimes indeed unseen. The second one is a gap of trust, where we build based on hierarchy as opposed to partnership. And the third is a gap of imagination. We find that sometimes the discourse that we have in this space, it is scripted in a language of compliance and not necessarily courage. And one of the things, or some of the things that I propose that we can continue to do or start to do to shift this is to close these gaps by perhaps acting differently. We need to fund with patience. Yeah? We need to train with precision, useful training that delivers value. And we need to partner with humility, knowing that our role, all of us in this room, we are not here to rescue anyone. People don't need rescuing, right? We're here to resource. And our approach, as Dr. Jonas said, has to be built on solidarity. And the only way to bridge these gaps is through a shared multi-stakeholder collaboration model. And all our initiatives should perhaps be centered around creating these partnerships, drawing individual strengths to form synergies between like-minded institutions so that we can achieve change at scale. Because if we want to build a sustainable and inclusive Africa, we can't talk about charity. We have to talk about strategy. And this is really about survival. Because in a region that is as youthful, as urbanizing, and as ecologically pressured as ours, the stakes could not be higher. So this strategy, which is the premise of today's conference, to build a sustainable and inclusive continent, it's really anchored on building also good institutions, both from a public as well as a private sector perspective. And I feel they're characterized by three attributes. They have to establish as well as to protect property rights. They have to restrict the expropriation of income and property of other members of society, especially the downtrodden and the people who are not necessarily particularly socially prominent. And the systems that we're building also have to provide equal chances for employment, for social security, as well as civil rights for all individuals. And by nurturing and growing these good institutions, we will contribute towards good socioeconomic growth, which contributes to stability as well as enhanced initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, the alternative, which is continuing to build extractive institutions, it has significant consequences and as well as negative effects when you look at entrepreneurship and when you also look at economic development. These institutions will increase the opportunity cost, resulting in increased opportunity cost curve, as well as a decrease in the social entrepreneurship movement. So to all of you gathered here today, so social entrepreneurs, I know we have many. We are actually fetching you as the guests of honors, the ecosystem builders, the thinkers of new worlds. Just know this, I don't feel you're merely responding to a moment. You are redesigning the moment, and you're actually the cartographers or the builders of the possible. So let us move beyond conferences to convergence, and move beyond politics to policy, and beyond inspiration to institution. And let us do so with urgency. The work is urgent, and with the unwavering belief that Africa's future, it will not be inherited, ladies and gentlemen. It will be co-authored. Thank you very much. Thank you.